topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello and welcome to Fearless Fabulous You. I am your host, Melanie Young. Welcome to my show. Welcome to February. Yes, that's that month where there's just 28 days to cram in all the wonderful things you want to do in your life before Women's History Month in March, before swimsuit season in May, and on and on and on. I like February. February to me is when you forget January. January, you're getting over the holidays. January, you're freezing your ass off. Even in New Orleans, we were freezing our ass off. It got really cold here. But February versus February is when I find it's a great time to reset and decide how you want to define your fabulous. So that's what the show is going to be about. It's going to be about how to know when to push the limits and when to accept the limits as you move through life, because I'm doing that right now. And I'm going to dedicate this show to the great Olympic skier, Lindsey Vonn, world champion, because she pushed her limits at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Cortina, Milan this past week. She, at 41, qualified to ski in Olympics. That is an old age in athletic terms. And she made it to the Olympics. She vowed she was going to ski. She did. Unfortunately, she crashed after 14 seconds, not because of the torn ACL knee that she has. No, because her ski hit a gate. Unfortunately, the crash ended up fracturing her tibia, and I think it's a fairly multiple fracture, and she's under surgery and is probably ending her career. However, she went out on top. She did not go out on the descent down in her career. She went out on top. And now she knows and has accepted her limits. And that is what I'm going to talk about today, because at some point, all of us need to understand when it's good to push the limits and when to accept the limits and move on. Or as the great song, Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler says, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So I'm doing that myself. February is a great time to do that. I mean, another good example is the great Venus Williams, who's still knocking it out of the ballpark at the Australian Open, but she's not at the top. There's other young women rising above her, but she is still going for it and pushing her limits. At some point, she's going to hang up a racket and do something else. Shaun White, great snowboarder. He's off. He's maybe snowboarding. He's not doing it competitively anymore. He knew when he had reached his limit, and now he's doing something else. He's got a whole business in the snowboarding business. Okay, so how does this affect you and me? Well, I spent a lot of time reassessing my own limits, because in October of 2025, I underwent my third breast reconstruction. It was a choice I made because I was experiencing discomfort with what they call, with many breast implants, capsular contraction, which is when your implants harden. Mine was shrinking, it was moving, I think it was leaking, I don't know, but I had mobility issues, and I just said, I want these suckers out. I'd reached my limit. I chose to undergo a process called deep flap breast restoration, which basically gave me on the good side, I got a tummy tuck. On the bad side, it was really painful. And I've never had a cesarean, but many of my women friends says that after effects are like a cesarean, where your stomach is just taut and tight and bloated. And I've been dealing with those side effects, which include limits on my mobility. So as part of the healing process, I started doing Pilates again with my surgeon's approval, and realized that I no longer can handle the reformer at 67 the way I could pre-surgery and back when I was rehabbing from my original mastectomy, which was almost 15 years ago, 16 years ago this year. And I realized I had limits and I had to be super careful because my back was killing me. So that brings you down to understanding your limits as you grow older and also defying any perceptions of limits. So you can do anything you choose to do at any age and any stage if you have the mindset. You should never let your mind be a limit. Your mind should be limitless in what it thinks, how it approaches life, everything. The more your mind is open, the more the world will come to you. I truly believe that. Limited minds limit opportunities. So keep your mind open and unlimited. However, below the neck, you may have some limits, i.e., maybe you're getting arthritis, maybe like me, you have chronic back pain, maybe your joints are stiff, maybe you've got belly, you've got muffin top and belly, and you're not moving as much. Your mobility is challenged. You may have limits, but you can push those limits to get past them. I don't think you necessarily want to go racing in the Olympics or go take up snowboarding or anything unless you go and make sure your joints are properly ready to handle that. You need to know your limits. Don't give up, but maybe adjust. So I'm going to take each category differently. You've got your physical limitations. Maybe you can't carry as much as you used to. Maybe you can't run as far or as fast. Maybe your joints are hurting. Maybe it's just everything is harder to do, including driving. First, if you're experiencing limits that are causing pain or affecting your lifestyle, I do suggest you bring them up at your annual wellness visit with your PCP, which I did yesterday, actually. And I said, I feel like I'm slowing down. Do you think I'm going to is my brain going? She's like, Melanie, you're fine. Just get over yourself. You forget a few things. We all do. You're okay. You're not wandering off into the distance. But if you find yourself doing things or your family notices you're doing things that are really different and could be harmful, address them. So first thing you do is you acknowledge that maybe there may be something wrong and you go see your doctor and discuss open and honestly what the issue is and decide how you're going to address it. My situation, I said, Dr. Juan, she's great. I said, my back is a mess after this last round of surgeries, which also included emergency surgery for an infection. My back and core are just shot, and it's painful to get up and down. I can't lift anything. Really, I don't even wear a pocketbook right now. And I said, but what I'm going to do is get my final surgery, which is coming up this month also. And then I'm going to take the month of March, February is my assessment month. March is going to be my self-care month. I'm going to brace my womanness and get well and get healthy and make sure my body is ready for what I want it to do moving forward, which is be healthy, first of all, and which is to keep going and traveling because I'm having surgery. So you should be doing that too. You should reassess what your body needs, what it's lacking, whether it's physical exercise, maybe it's intimacy, maybe it's nutrition, and go and talk to someone about it. Don't Google, don't follow what everybody is doing on TikTok. Go get invest in a couple of hours of coaching or nutrition or a physical therapist or a personal trainer and get on track. After that, you can do it yourself, but do it. Because if you don't acknowledge any problems, it could get worse. My mother didn't. My mother had arthritis. She ignored it. She ignored everything. And next thing you know, she was like crippled. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. She lived her life bedridden because she didn't address a problem that could have been mitigated earlier. So don't give up. Don't give in. Accept your limits and then push them gently as you can. Now, in your career, if you're still working or you're thinking about switching, or maybe you're retired and thinking about creating a business, or maybe you're retired and you don't know what you're doing in your life, or maybe you just want to make a change. This can be harder as you get older. I'm first to tell you. But if you've reached your limit with what you're doing for a living in terms of your career or your pastime or whatever, and you're done, it's okay to walk away. You got to know when to hold and know when to fold. I did. So in 2010, 2011, I had reached 20 years of my public relations special events company, Young Communications. It was incredibly successful in New York City. I was at the top of the heap, had amazing clients. It was awesome. I went through a lot of roller coasters. Like I lost some clients, gained some clients, lost some clients. It all took a toll on me health-wise because I was so busy running the business, I wasn't managing my health. As a result, I became ill. I just am convinced that my breast cancer diagnosis was distinctly related to the stress and lack of self-care that I was dealing with. The underlying issues were brewing as I was dealing with saving the health of my business. By the time I finished treatment and got out on the other side, I had a February moment, literally a February moment where I said, I'm done. I said to my husband, I don't want to do this work anymore. I don't want to be in this field anymore. I don't love what I do anymore. It no longer brings me joy. And frankly, I only see myself going down the ladder of success and not up. And listen, when you're on the ladder of success going up, there are a lot of people who want to uplift you and help you. When you're on the way down, the people just let you drop. It's just the way it is. They don't care because people want to hang on to people going up, not going down. So knowing that my prospects for running my business at this point, selling was not going to happen because word had going out that I'd lost some clients and I'd had cancer, and who wants to hire and merge with Cancer Girl? Nobody. I just said, I'm done. DONE, done. And I closed the business. And then I kind of wallowed in the what am I going to do with the rest of my life at 51. And out of it came journaling and writing and eventually a book contract. And I wrote my first book, Getting Things Off My Chest, A Survivor's Guide to Staying Fearless and Fabulous in the Face of Breast Cancer. That came out. It was successful. Critically successful, not necessarily financially successful. And then I wrote my second book, which I want to flash up on the screen, a photo of, called Fearless, Fabulous You, Lessons on Living Life on Your Terms, which actually addresses what we're talking to today, which is that you have to reset your life and evaluate it every so often to address limits that may be coming your way due to age or changes in business or finances or whatever, and how to retool and rework things to your advantage, which is what I do in Fearless, Fabulous You. I have 5 ways to reset your life, learn to recharge your energy. Obviously, the first thing you need to do if you feel like you're just wiped out, worn out, and ready to roll it all up and fold, reassess your energy levels and your self-worth and understand that no matter how you feel, you still have a great self-worth, and figure out what is that worth to you, what is that worth to the world, and wear it on your sleeve. Define how you want to live your life. Accept your limits and redefine how you want to live your life, which is the whole recharge section. And then, let go of things that are bringing you down, whether it's mental issues, mental baggage, people baggage, whatever. Know when to let it go. Know when to say, I'm done with this. I want to free up my time, my people, my headspace to move on. Okay? Sometimes change happens to you, and sometimes you make change happen. It's going to happen either way. Just be prepared. Then learn to reconnect with what you want to do, what really matters, what limits you'll accept, what ones you will not, what boundaries you want to push, which ones you don't, and then reframe it all and say, okay, I had a great life. I was doing X, but now I got to do Y. I can't begin to tell you how many people I know at my level, age-wise, let's say 50 and older, who've had successful careers and lives, and they're all out there looking for jobs right now. They're like, I desperately need a job. I need a job. Their company folded. The media business is in the tank. Everybody's getting taken over by AI. You've aged out. Whatever. You probably are not going to be doing the same thing again. you probably will be doing something different. Suck up and deal and say, I'm going to learn something new. So, what could that be? Maybe you're like, I don't have any skills. Well, go learn them. There's a million classes to take, free or otherwise. There's a million ways to say, I'd like to learn your business. Can I work as an intern? You could be an intern at 50 and older. You can volunteer for a period of time with an organization, a nonprofit, and say, I'd like to help. And then say, by the way, I'd like to, do you have any jobs? Or take that volunteer work and package it for jobs. You can do all of that. You can also choose not to work. I have friends who are like, I'm retired. I'm kind of embarrassed. Instead of saying I'm retired, they say I'm self-employed. It's okay. Retire. You don't have to work. If you don't have to work and you're financially secure enough not to, God bless you. Go out and enjoy your life. Do something for other people. Mentor, volunteer, spend that money that you worked so hard to earn and go travel or do something you want to do. It's perfectly okay not to work. In fact, that's one of my mental limits right now. I keep saying to my husband, David, I don't really want to work anymore. I kind of just want to live my life. I figure I have 15 good years left. 15, 1-5. I want to live them really well. Just enjoy my life. Why do I have to work? Well, financially, I probably do, but I don't have to work as hard. So you can have that conversation with yourself and assess, do I have to keep doing the same old thing? Can I? Or are there limits? Finally, decide what you want to do down the road and set a goal to figure that out. Maybe it's not work. Okay. That means you got to really work on your investing and saving and not spending. And that may mean giving up things that you really like. For me, that's hard. I like to travel. Maybe it's not going out to restaurants or concerts as much. Maybe it's buying for your clothes because you want to save now to spend and relax and have less stress later. It's really up to you. It's really up to you. Try something new. Try something crazy. Push your limits and see what that's like. You know what I've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to try burlesque. Yeah, burlesque. I love burlesque. Now it's getting harder for me to even conceive that because I have now 2 surgical scars. I'm like, who would want to see a 67-year-old woman do burlesque with 2 surgical scars? Well, first of all, I just put a barrier in front of me, a mental barrier. You never know. Push your limits. If it's fun and you're having joy from it, why not do it? Another one is financial limits. Okay, this is a biggie. Okay, we talked about physical and mental, career. Financial, that's a tough one. I can't afford. It's too expensive. I can't do this. Can't is a limit. Well, yeah, sometimes that's true. It's hard, particularly when you have friends you enjoy being with who maybe are more financially well off than you, and suddenly you're with them and you feel peer pressure to keep up with your friends, but on trips like that. Well, maybe you don't want to travel with them anymore. If you have financial limits, accept them and live within them because the other option is not great, debt. 2, find a way to grow your money, the money you have, working with a financial advisor, or earn more money bit by bit. It may not be a salary, it may not be a job, but maybe you can sell stuff out of your closet. Maybe you can offer to walk dogs. Maybe you can get a part-time job. Whatever. The financial limits is a hard one because you live with that the rest of your life unless you do something with it to improve it. So the best thing you can do there is start early, be pragmatic, and have a good conversation with yourself. Do I need it? Do I want it? Is it necessary? I've had the conversation many times. It's been a terrible conversation, but I've done it. So, limits. You're never too old. You're never too young. However, there are some limits to both. Your career may have a ceiling to it. If you're bumping your head against the ceiling, then walk away, open the door and walk away and do something else. If your relationship is in a rut, I haven't talked about that one. If your personal relationships are in a rut, face it, get help, speak to a therapist, talk to your partner, and have an honest, non-accusatory discussion. Don't sweep it under the blanket or under the rug because it'll fester. Just have an open conversation and say, is there anything, or come up with something fun to do together that you haven't done before. You got to push your limits there too, because you don't want to be in a rut. A rut creates limits. Financially, I've addressed, you've got to figure out how to grow the money, spend less money, make less money, and live within your means. So that is setting limits, but you can have a great time doing it. You can learn to take up cooking. You can take walks with friends instead of go out for drinks. That's right. Cocktails are like $20 now, some places. Okay, happy hour maybe 12, but think about all the calories you can burn by moving and taking a walk, talk, get together versus ingesting. Okay, maybe you can't take that big trip right now or fewer. Put your money away for that big trip because you only live once and do staycations. David and I did many staycations in New York and in Tennessee when we were trying to save money. We didn't talk about them as much as our big trips, which is work, by the way, but we do staycations. You find a museum. I have a tip for you. If you join your local library, I think I've talked about this before. If you join your local public library, you can ask them for other benefits. For example, our local library has a culture pass. You can sign up and go to many museums for free or attend the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra for free. As a bonus for having a library card, you can also check out books, current magazines, not check them out, but have a reading library there. They have puzzles. Some libraries have crafts, cooking appliances. It's actually amazing what your local public library can offer for free just by signing up and getting a library card. I never buy books anymore. I always just go to the library. You can also go and get Notary Public. I should be a spokesperson for libraries, but I'm very big. First of all, I love to read. I love books, as you know. And second, I love to take advantage of free things. So that's a really good one. And some of these libraries have classes where you can sharpen your skills, whether it's social media or computers or other kinds of things. So ask. Because if you feel limited because you lack knowledge about something, there's always a free or low-cost class to learn or course. I highly recommend that because lack of knowledge should not be a limit. Anyway, I'm going to keep this show short because it's Mardi Gras. If you can see it in my head, it's Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And I'm going to enjoy the afternoon and maybe go see some parades. But again, this show was inspired by watching Lindsey Vonn push her limits. And to me, she's a hero because she pushed hard, she worked hard, she was dedicated to her sport and her profession. And even though she ended up with a huge crash, she didn't crash in my mind. She just got through it and we'll move on. So a toast to her and a toast to you. And this February, think through what you want to do beyond your limits, accept the ones you may have, and rework everything else. Because you have a choice in life on how you live. You can choose to live with limits and boundaries or not. You can push your limits or you can stay where you are. It's really up to you. It's what you enjoy doing and how you want to grow and stay in the know. Your choice. Never let people choose for you. And always live life on your terms and choose fearless and fabulous. Thank you. Follow me on Melanie Fabulous. Check out my book, Fearless, Fabulous You, Lessons on Living Life in Your Terms, and Getting Things Off My Chest, a survivor's guide to staying fearless and fabulous in the face of breast cancer. I would appreciate it. Take care, and laissez le bon temps brûler. Thank you.